8:08 p.m., 80 degrees on this July 2nd. Welcome to Walking with J.Beau. An almost daily walking vlog. It's going to be dark soon, and it's still 80 degrees. It was hot today in the upper 80s. Humid. The dew point is 68 degrees. If you know what a dew point is, you know that's pretty steamy. Especially for Maine. I'm going to go for my walk. I'm going to do a basic 5 miles tonight. Hope everybody's getting ready for a really nice July 4th weekend. I have to go pick my brother up at the airport tomorrow. He'll be home for the weekend, and then he'll fly out again at the end of the weekend. Should be a fun range day this week. The weather looks really good, which is always nice. Humidity is about 66%. Moderate, I guess. Dew point is the sticky mugginess, which is 68 degrees. I think the low tonight's going to be 70 to 72, so we're probably not going to get fog. Turn the camera around up ahead. So the Republican House is working on H.R. 1, aka the One Big Beautiful Bill, to finalize the passing of it before going on the desk for Trump to sign it. Democrats are doing their stall tactics. Same thing the Senate did. And they know it's going to pass. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to throw in all these different amendment votes, which they have a right to do, and each member is submitting one. So you have to keep in mind there's 212 Democrat House members, I believe, or 214. I think it's 212. And Republicans have 220. And you need 218 to pass things. So you already have Congressman Thomas Massey, who hasn't voted for anything Trump wanted to do yet. He's gone anti-Trump. It's obvious he just does not like Trump. He's being partisan, and he's voting with Democrats, and President Trump just called on him to be primaried, which he will be. So, problem is, though, is the Republicans only have 2 votes that they can lose, and they don't have a vice president in Congress to be a tiebreaker. That's the upper chamber with the Senate, which J.D. Vance was actually the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. So you got these meatballs who are going to be a-holes, and they passed it the first time around and only passed by 1 vote. The good news is, if you're going to find any, is that the HR resolution that was passed by the first House is only 85 to 90%. It's 85 to 90% of the original bill still there after being in the Senate. And the Senate actually put a couple of things more conservative than the House was going to do. So I think it'll do okay. You do have the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Barrel Act, which were cut out by the Senate parliamentarian, which is unfortunate because that would have just legalized suppressors for anybody to go buy one without a government tax stamp. And it also would have made short barrel firearms legal again. So it may actually be easier for people to get the minimal FFL license for a fee, and then you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Some people may do that as an alternative, or just be happy with the regular firearms you can buy, which I am. I don't shoot suppressed. I've got no interest in shooting suppressed, but a lot of people do. So problem is, the House can put those back in, but if they put those back in, because of the House parliamentarian, they'll have to be voted on individually as an individual bill in the Senate, and it will require 60 votes, which at this point, the Democrats would not even vote to give Jesus a claw hammer while he's on the cross if Trump wanted it. That's basically what we have right now. So 60 votes is never going to happen for anything, even if it meant free rent for everybody across the country. They would find a reason to not vote for it because Trump. So anyway, that's where we are right now. I also found out more details with the Medicaid for illegals. Medicaid was not able to be given to illegals to begin with. They don't qualify for it. What the bill was doing was policing it. And the parliamentarian took that out of the bill. So they said it wasn't a budget item thing for reconciliation, which means it needs 60 votes, and it didn't get that. So that means that it still allows the President of the United States to defund states that allow it, because it is on the books not to allow it. So they're just making it more difficult. But the end game will still happen. There'll just be more work for the presidential administration. And why not, right? Everything else has been. No deer again today. I don't see any deer. This is the deer crossing here. This is where we saw that one eating, right here in the bushes that day. Anyways, my friend, here we are again. Walking. Hope you're having a beautiful, getting ready for a beautiful July 4th weekend. Certainly is an interesting time to be alive, isn't it, my friends? So this is going to be the last hurdle for HR 1, aka the one big beautiful bill, which technically should have had a difficult time getting where it is. So the Republican Party is actually doing a good job. And I mentioned before the voting happened in the Senate that some of it was probably going to get removed. If you've watched enough of these over the years, you'll understand how that works. And it isn't a surprise. And there's actually not been as much damage as there could have been. After researching what the Medicaid for illegals really was in that bill, removing it from the bill doesn't give illegals Medicaid. But Trump is going to have to reinforce the rules that are already there, and he's going to have to play hardball with states like New York and California, the two biggest offenders for that. So and the reason why liberals want illegal immigration, a lot of people say, oh, they want illegals to vote. No, that's not why. Although all the ones that come here with birthright citizenship, as soon as they have a kid, that kid is born a citizen. And then when they reach 18, they can vote as a U.S. citizen. So that is part of the Democrat plan, long term. The reason why illegals are important in mass numbers is because that increases the census. The census includes illegals. That is going to be a bill that will be coming up later on. Again, Democrats aren't going to support anything. So Mike Johnson said there are going to be future budget reconciliation bills, so not to panic if there's something in this one that doesn't pass. It looks like they're getting the most important stuff, the big stuff, you know, closing the border, funding for ICE, and all this other stuff. And a lot of the other stuff later will fall in line with the courts and Trump's executive orders. And we just saw a big win this week for transgender sports. University of Pennsylvania, UPenn. That's the one with that Leah Thomas, biological male competing as a woman, went in and dominated, winning rewards, medals, titles, money, stealing that from women, and they're angry about it, and they should be. Now again, I don't care who is transgender or who's this, who's that. Live and let live, but when you're infringing on rights of other people, that is not a good thing. And when you give special rights to one group, by default, you have to infringe on the rights of somebody else. Like if you say all cats have to be fed first because they're cats, and you know, then the dog is like, well, why do I have to go second? Why can't I eat too? When previously it was basically whoever came up and ate. So now you're dividing classes and races and stuff that equality is supposed to be against, yet the Democrats are being racist. Whether their intentions are good or not really is a moot point. Point is, they're not being fair to one group of people, which is discrimination, which is why UPenn was just found to be in violation of Title IX. Title IX was a civil rights amendment added specifically to protect women. Okay, that was specifically added to protect women in sports and other things. So what they did wouldn't happen. And they did it anyway. So UPenn was found in violation of that by Trump's Secretary Education head, and a lawsuit was filed by the Department of Justice. And the attorneys for UPenn said, well, you're not going to win this because you discriminated. You discriminated. So UPenn is issuing apology letters to the girls who lost their titles, who should have won the titles, and they're going to restore rewards and awards that should have been made, and they're going to strip the titles from Leah Thomas, who the leftist corporations made a superstar, putting them on products, and so she had endorsement deals. And the biggest kicker is, I saw footage of Leah Thomas in her own swimming pool where she was topless, wearing male trunks, and looked just like a guy. So it was all a scam, and Leah Thomas was not good to compete with men, wasn't good enough. Decided to compete as a woman and won every damn thing. Not to mention that, you know, 2 feet taller than most of the women on the swim team, stronger, longer legs, better swimmer. It's a joke. So this experiment by the left has failed, and Leah Thomas is going to have her, and I call her her. Okay, this doesn't matter to me, really doesn't. But what happened wasn't fair. And I don't want to disrespect trans people. You know, this is America. Anything short of trying to marry a dog or something like that I could get behind and support. But infringing on women, they fought a long time for rights, women did. And to have these quote-unquote men, who coincidentally were the ones that oppressed women before Title IX, turn around and were oppressing women again. And they lost in court. Because it was discrimination. They were discriminated against because they were women. So that was a big Supreme Court win this week. Big win for the Trump administration. And big win because a lot of other universities have been changing their policies. Not because they want to, because they have to. They will lose those lawsuits and they will lose government funding. The reason why this legislation was important for the trans stuff in the big beautiful bill was then it couldn't be done again after Trump's out of office. See what I'm saying? So there's nothing there to prevent the next president, if it's a Democrat, to undoing Trump, like we saw Biden do. Whether it was good or not for the country, they just went ahead and reversed everything Trump did, which is why we had between $5 and $6 gas for a lot of parts of the country last year, 2022 actually, because of that. So gas prices are coming down right now. Gas prices are creeping down through much of the country. They'll make their way here to Maine shortly. Right now it's about $3, $2.98, $2.70 something at Walmart, I believe. So itch. So we have that stuff going on, and so right now it's Trump's on a roll. There's been nothing but winning. The only success the Democrats have had so far is what's his face in New York, Mamdani, Thoran, or whatever the hell this name is, Mamdani, A-A-M-D-A-N-I. And like I said the other day, I think the DNC, Democratic Party, is going to sabotage him because he's too toxic. He's too far left, even for Democrats. A lot of establishment Democrats that are left are not liking him. They feel threatened, and they should, because this is the type of guy that could ignite something really bad in the Democratic Party, which has already been ignited by people like Bernie Sanders and AOC. This guy just comes right out and says, I'm a socialist and I hate capitalism. City of New York is going to run grocery stores, and we're going to give groceries to people that can't afford it, homeless people and whoever else. Billionaires are going to pay for it, he said. Kathy Hochul, not exactly a centrist in New York, was like, hey, wait a minute here. That's not going to happen. She's already said that's not going to happen. That means it's not going to happen. They have a problem already with billionaires leaving New York. So this guy wants to give people free rent. He wants to give them groceries. He wants to give them everything they want. Free, 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 free. Billionaires have to pay for it. Yeah, well, like I said the other day, real estate value in Florida just went up. These people are not going to stay in New York, okay? Why would you? Why would you keep your company in New York at this point? I think all these people are going to pack up and leave like they've been doing in California. And the only people you're going to have left in California is socialists. And all you'll have left in New York is socialists. And I think economically they're going to collapse. And I think Trump ought to defund the hell out of both of them. Let the chips fall where they may. You know, these people need to be put in check. They're dangerous. So I think the DNC, Democratic Party, is going to use ranked choice voting to cheat. The current mayor, Adams, is running for re-election as an independent. He can only serve 2 terms as a Democrat. That's the New York rules. So the New York rules said, well, you can run for a 3rd term if you change your party. They made the rules. They also included ranked choice voting. So now Adams can be on the ticket, the sitting mayor. So that's the rules. They made them. And I think the Democratic Party, like I said, is going to put big money behind him to defeat Mamdani, realizing that if Mamdani wins and that catches on nationally because he won when he wasn't supposed to, you're going to get a whole bunch of bandwagon socialists doing the same thing nationally. And all these people that can't afford to pay their rent because they either don't want to, can't, or whatever, everybody blames the rich. It's the rich's fault. This guy comes along and talks about how he's just going to tax the rich and give you all their free stuff, distribution of wealth, and he brags about it. Well, these people voted for him, and a lot of people that voted for him are white liberals. We haven't heard from the blacks or Hispanics yet. So we'll see how that goes. Personally, I really can't see this guy winning, even though he won the primary. I think New York is having a culture shift right now. And I think at the last minute, you're going to see Jews, blacks, and Hispanics. They're going to go out and they're going to vote correctly for the non-socialist, because a lot of these people came here to run away from socialists and communists. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if New Yorkers are still New Yorkers. And we'll see what happens. Can't let communism fester like that in America. Just can't do it. So starting to get dark, which means I'll be flipping around to night mode shortly. So anyway, man, it's going to be a nice weekend, I think, weather-wise especially. And it'll be a nice range day, that's for sure. I hear a peeper. Loud peepers tonight. Getting a good sweat going. Yesterday's walk, I had sweat in my eyeballs if you were watching. Started up his car and he had blue smoke coming out. That's never a good thing. turn the camera around. Whew. So I went and got some few grocery items a little while ago. I noticed garlic powder and onion powder that I bought. Both of them went down $1.49. Been noticing prices coming down of different things. It's all good. And one thing I noticed is all the bigger name brands, the prices didn't change much. So a lot of these bigger corporations, I don't know if Walmart buys more of them at a certain price. Whatever they pay from the distributor, they want to get their money, so they're reluctant to reduce prices till they order again and pay less. We got some barky dogs across the street. They're out there barking. They keep looking back, see if the owner's coming out to scold them. I am all slimy already. Just reached 2 miles. I actually have sweat rolling down my legs under my cargo pants. Didn't feel like wearing shorts tonight. Probably a mistake. As we're approaching dusk. I always like the sky when it looks like this. We got an old commode here. You see how that's still here? They won't pick that up. City will not pick that up. I don't know why the city won't pick up a toilet. Biohazard, more than likely, for the employees. Might be an insurance thing. I don't know, but the city trash people do not pick up commodes. And a couple of times while walking, I've looked down into the woods and have seen a couple of commodes. People roll down the hill. which is that same story I've told countless times on these walks. I won't beat you over the head with it again, other than, you know, they come up with recycling programs and they force people to buy dump passes. And stuff they used to pick up, they don't. They used to pick it up because people used to roll it down the hill. And now they've made it so difficult to get rid of, people are rolling it down the hill again. And that's a perfect example of how government fails. So, the commode's going to sit there until somebody rolls it down the hill. And I can say, I told you so. I think tonight I'm going to use the public commode at the park up here. I drank a big thing of water before leaving the house because I knew I'd sweat. So the fact that I have to go is actually a good thing. Hopefully somebody didn't do something stupid like lock it. That would be a bummer. So I watched some of the House floor debate on the HR 1. Didn't seem to be a whole bunch new and different. You're going to have your usual few that are going to hold out for something. And they're going to have to be careful with what they hold out with, because whatever they want to add back to it's going to have to go to the Senate for a vote, which means, you know, it won't get passed before July 4th, in 2 days, so Trump can have it on his desk to celebrate the July 4th weekend. Can't afford to have it go back to the Senate, not the whole bill, just the amendments proposed, which none of them are going to pass, so it would just waste time. Democrats are not going to pass anything 60 votes. You'd have to get 7 Democrats and all 53 Republicans in the Senate. To get just 50 is a headache. To get 60, and the reason why 50 is a headache is, you know, like last time, you had 3 Republicans who wouldn't vote for the bill. Rand Paul of Kentucky, Susan Collins of Maine here, and Tillis, North Carolina, who Trump got upset at, and then shortly after, Tillis said he was resigning. He's not going to run for re-election. is fine with me. He comes from a very red district, and I'm sure they're not happy with him. Got a MAGA guy in there, is what we'll do. Get rid of the rhinos, Republicans in name only. So I'm going to go up this way. I see the public outhouse up ahead. Nicest public outhouse I've ever seen. You're not going to go in with me, obviously. But it's pretty spacious. It's clean. Looks well maintained. I'll cut across there. Some people out here with their dog. You said 2.5 miles. This is that park here. Used to be Pettingill School. Now it's a Pettingill Park. Head down over this way. Hopefully their dog is not crazy. It's unlocked. It's unlocked. It's unlocked. Journey. There we go. I've had my pit stop. Swapping over to night mode here shortly when I get to the end of the street here. Your picture is probably already vibrating when I walk, which is what it does when it gets dark. All right, I'll be back in a moment, my friends. All right, see how easy that was? Just had a bug bounce off my bottom lip. It didn't go in my mouth, thankfully. It gets humid like this, the bugs come out. As you people down south know. And I hate it when cars go by playing music, because sometimes YouTube flags it for copyrights. Get a dead squirrel. I don't know if a cat got it or if it touched a line it wasn't supposed to touch. I don't know. Usually when you get a squirrel that's dead under a tree, it either got caught by a predator when it came down, it wasn't hitting the road, so that's not the first time I have seen dead squirrels under power lines. There's the gay Maine flag. So, as I was saying, we have big beautiful bill. I don't know how long it's going to take him to pass it, but July 4th is Friday. Democrats are trying all their delay tactics. Like I was saying earlier, and I don't remember if I finished what I was saying, but all 200 plus members of the Democrats were each proposing an amendment. Now in the Senate, they have a rule when somebody starts doing that they do what's called a voice vote. That's where you say all in favor, yay, and whoever's in favor says yay, all opposed, nay. And the head honcho that day decides who had the majority of the vote, because he can physically see they put their arm up. So instead of all voting and waiting for it to be tabulated, I haven't seen anything like that for the Congress in the House. So there's 200 plus amendments are being proposed, and they were taking a break when I left for my walk. So I think they're coming up with a way to circumvent their delay tactics, because they have a lot of procedures that they have to do, because the founding fathers anticipated this. So delay, delay, delay. Petulant little children. All they care about is getting Trump and ruining his July 4th deadline. That's all they care about. And they're behaving like children on the floor. Screaming. One of them earlier today was swearing. Need to be reminded not to do that in Congress. And he was like, well, the president does it, so, you know, they're being little children who have lost, and they're kicking their feet. So they're losing. They're gonna lose some more. And conservatism catches on once it takes hold, because it's all based on common sense and then actually doing what you said you were going to do. That's all Republicans have to do. Do what you said you're going to do, and you'll be like Florida. The reason why Florida is so red is it was a battleground state for a long time when Obama was president. And in fact, DeSantis almost lost to Guillaume, that black dude who turned out to be gay, which is not what I'm criticizing. I'm just saying he turned out to be gay and was doing drugs, a lot of drugs. That I will criticize. He's the one that they found with his sex partner had overdosed and died in the hotel room. The police showed up and Guillaume was leaning on the toilet getting sick because he did too much drugs, and his lover that he was in the hotel room with died. This was after he lost the election in Florida to DeSantis. So these are the kind of people that were being promoted as Democrats. And you know, DeSantis can only serve 2 terms. So McDonald, who is a really nice guy, huge Trump supporter, black dude in Florida, he's awesome. He's running for governor. I think he'll win. He speaks well and he has common sense. So, you know, and that's the problem we have with Mamdani in New York. Mamdani. He speaks well. He's a good talker like Obama was. You know, George Bush, good talker. Ronald Reagan, good talker. Bill Clinton, good talker. You know, good talkers have gotten a lot of this country into trouble. Trump's not a good talker. He just uses common sense and says things like they are. So does DeSantis. So DeSantis isn't a good talker. He's not a polished, you know, BSer. He says things like they are, And that's what I like about McDonald. And so it's going to be interesting to see. I got the governor election in Florida next year. It's a big deal. Democrats are going to want that seat. And what I was alluding to is that Florida was a battleground state, and then Republicans won it because they promised things. And when they won, they did those things. So the next election came, and they gained more seats. They did some stuff, got things done, common sense. So the next election after that, they gained more seats. So now they have a majority in Florida in their legislature that's big. So, and they're not squandering it on stupid stuff. They're getting stuff done. And that's their motto that they should be following in DC. Promise the people what you're going to do, and then when they vote for you and you win, do that. No matter what. They'll come back and they'll vote for you again. And that's exactly what happened with Trump. So this big beautiful bill needs to get completed so people will see that they actually did what they voted for. So we're going to have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, but the regular Social Security and Medicare will still be taken out, but you won't have income tax on overtime. So this is going to save a lot of people a lot of money every year, and that's going to help the economy. So they just need to stick to what they said they were going to do, and I believe there is a tax break for people on Social Security that when it comes time to file taxes, it equates to no tax on Social Security. So they had to do it that way because there's so many different ways that Social Security is distributed to different people. They couldn't have one like big tax cut across the board for everybody, because there's a lot of different situations. There's SSI, there's people on Social Security that have a disabled spouse. You know, you have people with mental disabilities on SSI and they're in their 50s. So it's it was too big to do that with. So they came up with a new tax. When it's time to file, that's when you'll get your tax cuts, if that makes sense. So this is all good. It's all good. All the good stuff and the big beautiful bill stayed in it. It's, you know, short barrels and suppressors and things like that. They're important to a lot of people that like to shoot. But, you know, when it comes down to having to drop something compared to somebody losing no tax on tips, well, I think we would rather see people get no tax on tips, you know. So that's kind of a big deal. There's all kinds of things in it. A big increase in the child tax credit. If you get children, tax credit's even bigger. That'll help a lot of families out. They have a couple of kids. Maybe even give them an incentive to have a couple more kids. Other stuff that's in it is buy a new car. Big tax break on your car loan. Get a good interest rate and charge less tax as an incentive to buy American-made cars. It's only good for our cars made in America. So if you go to buy a BMW, you're not going to get that tax break. In fact, you're going to get a tariff on that. The price of the car is going to be more, and you won't get a tax break. If you buy an American vehicle, you will. So all of that stuff is still in the bill. It passed. So that's all good. Now it's up to the Republicans' Congress, which I'm sure at the end of the day, you're going to have a couple of grandstanders, soapboxers. Trump's going to have to lash out at them a couple of times. But I think it'll get passed. That's something I'm going to be watching tonight into tomorrow. And we'll see. Hopefully things can get done and they'll do a vote. As soon as Speaker of the House Mike Johnson knows they have the votes, I'm sure he'll bring it around for a vote. If he doesn't have the votes, he's going to have to work to get them. I think President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance will do like he did before, where he will actually talk with these Congress people and explain the importance of it and get them on board. And you know, maybe a couple of these congressmen are going to make requests behind closed doors. I'll vote for it, but you have to make sure this happens for my district, that kind of thing. You know, Trump can allocate some funds for their district. That's the game they play. They're there to get reelected, and you get reelected by getting your constituents what they want. And you have some Republicans in tight districts where a lot of the people that voted for them don't like Trump. They're independents. So there's a lot of different unique cases there, and they just have to work through it. But that's why I said the good news is 85 to 90% of the original bill that these people voted for hasn't changed. So regardless, it's still really good. Whew, 3.5 miles. Finish up the last 1.5 miles. Take a nice hot shower. Upload this video. I've also decided I'm going to upload this video, and I'm going to rip it in 1080p, but I'm going to choose a medium bit rate instead of a fast bit rate quality. You have like super best quality, which would turn this walk into 129 gigabytes on average, or best, which usually is about 14 gigabytes, but I'm going to choose medium at 9 gigabytes. That cuts down the upload time to YouTube. It cuts down the space used on YouTube. Less of my previous walks will be deleted because YouTube seems to remove some of mine periodically at random, and YouTube makes a decision, the algorithm does, which ones get removed and which ones don't. And some of them I really like, and I can't choose which ones get kept. So What it usually does is the redundant videos, the same routes. It's like the algorithm knows everything. Crazy. The algorithm knows everything I talk about. It's like right now, if I talk about lollipops, I'll bet you a couple times this weekend I'll see advertisements for lollipops, because I mentioned it on the walk. That's the time we're living in, folks. We'll go this way. This is that house here with the roof has a flag painted on it. Scott J.Beau painted that when George Bush was president. He did it coast to coast, all 50 states, painted a flag in every state. That's the one he did in Maine. That's the same Scott J.Beau. That's on OAN sometimes, Newsmax, as well as at a couple of Trump rallies. So that was really cool. He's the same guy with when Cuomo was the mayor of New York, governor, I mean, and also we had the mayor, I think it was de Blasio or something, and the Scott J.Beau was the one that had a whole bunch of balloons shaped like an erect penis, and he let all of those go outside of an event that the mayor was doing. So all these huge crowd that was there saw like a couple hundred of these penises floating around that said the mayor was a dick on them. Thought that was pretty funny. We're walking on up here. Sweat running down my face again. A half moon tonight. Another big thing in the big beautiful bill is the MAHA Food Act. I don't know the exact title of it, but it says MAHA in it, and food. Something about health and nutrition, MAHA Food Act or something like that. That's also in this bill. That survived the Senate. So that will mandate healthy food for young people. That's where the red coloring in candy is going to be vegetable juice of some sort instead of some chemical dye, artificial dye. Well, this is all good. You know, there's a lot of infertility. You get a lot of young people that have low sperm counts, and they have difficulty getting women pregnant. And a lot of people suspect it's the food people are eating, because the air is actually cleaner than it used to be. You know, as far as car exhaust and all that stuff. You know, you get caught in traffic now. And you're not sucking on exhaust fumes in cars around you. And if you want to be reminded of how bad it used to be in the 70s, early 70s when I was a kid, is get stuck behind a vintage muscle car or something, or any vintage car that does not have any environmental gizmos and gadgets on it. And you'll find out very quickly how bad air used to be compared to now. So I'm pretty convinced whatever issues people are having has to do with food they're ingesting. I think it's so hard to pinpoint all this stuff, you know, so I don't want to spread like rumors and false, narratives, but something is causing an increase in childhood cancers, and the air is cleaner than it used to be, and the water is better than it used to be. So, it's got to be something people are ingesting. It has to be, There ain't too much else that makes sense, really. So I know there's some bad chemicals and things like sunscreens and things that have caused problems in lab animals, but that doesn't mean it will for humans. But I think there's a lot of stuff being used that there are better alternatives, and they don't use it because for production and manufacturing it's easier for them to make it this way, which means it costs less. And a lot of the stuff is made in China. How well are we monitoring what Chinese factories do? We've already seen recalls of kids' toys where the paint was toxic and carcinogenic if you ingest it. And how many of these kids were chewing on their toys and getting chemicals from plastics on things they're chewing that are safe, allegedly. So something's causing it. Something is causing it. So we're going to hang a left over here. We've passed 4 miles already. And down this way, finish up the last parts of this walk. So anyway, it's been pretty nice shopping for stuff lately for food. I have noticed prices coming down. I have. But you're not going to see big decreases on brand names like Oreo cookies. But a lot of the no-name brand stuff and lesser companies, a lot of those are coming down in price. So that'll cause the big name brands to drop their prices because they're going to sit on the shelf longer, because people are going to buy a reasonable facsimile thereof Oreo cookies for $3 less a package. Well, $3 is $3 where I come from, mister. Not that I eat those cookies anyways. I used to eat a lot of stuff like that. I used to buy a package of peanut butter like cream cookies, sandwich cookies. They were cheap to buy, a couple dollars for a whole package. And I was like addicted to those things. Sit there with a glass of milk, watching movies, eating a bunch of those. Sometimes I'd eat I'd have like a gallon of ice cream, and I'd eat half of it sometimes in a day. You know, I was really good at that. You know, I love that stuff. I still do. Sometimes I'll still get that stuff once in a great while. I'll stop by the deli area bakery and I'll get a package of chocolate chip cookies. I love chocolate chip cookies dunked in milk. A lot of people like them with coffee. I've always liked them with milk. And everybody's different, you know. Pumpkin pie is good with coffee. Apple pie is good with milk. You know, for me, that's my personal whatever. An apple pie having vanilla ice cream on it or whipped cream. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, yum. So I'm going to finish up the last 3/4 of a mile here with you. And I'll sign off. Yep. All right. Bicycle here for some reason. Kid's bike. Got a little girl's bike. It's a pink and purple bicycle with a sparkly seat. A lot of fireflies out right now. It's officially firefly season. Alrighty. Cut across here when this bike goes by. I can hear a bike coming behind me. An electric car. It's a car. It's not electric. Has this grill fan going full blast. Get the AC on. Alright. Is that thunder right in the distance I hear? Nope. It's not thunder. I heard something booming in the distance. At 4.5 miles right now. This probably won't show up. Fireflies out there as soon as this car goes by. If you can see that, that's good. If you can't, well, I understand. Probably can't see those. If you can, well, that's good. I had the camera still, not moving. You can see them with the naked eye. So what I was saying earlier about immigration is, I don't think I finished off what I was talking about. I drift. But California and New York, two of the most populated states, I believe, besides Texas. And you'll notice that the states with the most migrants are the most populated states. And two of them are extremely blue, and the Democrats are desperately trying to turn Texas blue. And it all has to do with the census, where if you're a congressman from a district, like here is District 2, they flooded a whole bunch of migrants here. Well, that increases the amount of people in the district, even though they're not citizens. Now, in a state like California, when it gets to a certain population, they can redistrict, and that adds extra congressmen in DC. And that's literally what this is all about. Power, power, power in DC. That's why they made DC an electoral college district, basic. It's a district of Columbia. It's not a state. You know, and it's the capital of the country. It's not even in a state. It's sitting in between other states. So the Democrats get to rig everything. And, you know, don't get me wrong, there's some red states where they do some districting of their own, you know, but 55 electoral college votes come out of California. Now the next time they do a census, it might be 58 or 59. You see what I'm saying? It's based on the population. So you'll probably see more for Texas also, which I believe right now is 29. So, or 39, I forget which. I think it's 29. So more people move to Florida from New York, and a lot of people from California moved to Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, Texas. So California might actually lose some electoral seats, electoral college votes. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But the big beautiful bill had it in there to fix all that. Well, you have to be a citizen to be considered by the census. That's going to be coming up in future bills. So the Republicans have a plan while Trump is in office, and Republicans have power, and they're scheduling this stuff for April of next year. That's how it works. This is the legislative year this year, and get this big beautiful bill out of the way early instead of waiting to pass it around Christmas, and then get the next one ready for April, and then do stuff in between as well. Now again, some of it's going to need 60 votes. The Democrats are never going to vote for it, and the only way you can get them to vote for anything is to promise them crap in it. Pork. And that's just the sad truth of it. You have to buy those votes. And you know, a lot of Republicans look bad to constituents when they do that. So it's all a really difficult game to play. It's complex, but I think they'll do well. Getting this big beautiful bill finalized will be a big deal. And the Republicans are going to run into some problems, like work requirements for Medicaid. The thing is they don't have anything in place to really enforce that. I mean, how are you going to enforce that? Everybody that's on Medicaid has to provide proof of this and that, and they barely have enough people working there to run everything as it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens. At least somebody's trying to do something about it. So I'll sign off up ahead here, and I'll wait until I get to my little cubby area where I don't have all these cars. I don't have to fight with the noise of all these cars. All right, my friends, that'd be as good a place as any to sign off. I want to say thank you very much for walking with me today, and I want to say be good to one another, say a prayer for President Trump and the country, and also want to thank you for walking with me and checking out my channel. Click like and subscribe, share the content, and you know, like I said, say a prayer for President Trump. And we just had somebody turn yelling because they think I'm live streaming. So anyways, my friends, have a good evening. God bless you, and make sure you pray for good things for the country and your families. And we will see you on the next walk. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good night. See you soon. Bye-bye.